Warning: this podcast discusses paranormal activity and other topics some might find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley.
And I'm Daniel.
And welcome to Ghost Gossip.
Welcome, y'all. What's going on?
We're here. We're here gossiping about ghosts.
They don't like gossip or hearsay.
How do you know? I think they like gossip. I think they do. I think they enjoy us.
I think they enjoy banter.
Our listeners do enjoy our banter, from what I hear.
Yeah.
They enjoy you.
Good. I hope so. I hope that I'm not just a bump on a log here, that I'm actually providing some kind of comic relief.
I enjoy it because I haven't fired you.
You can't fire me.
I did that other podcast we did together.
I quit.
You didn't quit. I fired you. I was like, I can't do this.
There was nothing on paper.
Well, this one is going to be rough because this one has nothing on paper.
I'm unionizing.
You're unionizing?
Yes.
You don't get paid.
It doesn't matter.
There's no benefits.
There are benefits.
Oh, okay. Not for anybody else. These aren't universal benefits for everybody.
Well, I should hope not.
Anyway, we're way off track.
On to the
here.
story.
There are new stories today.
Oh, really? What are we doing?
We are talking about, this was your idea. This is what you said. You were like, hey, can we do an episode on types of hauntings?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
It is good. It's something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I could have researched a facility this week. Yeah. And I was like, no, let's look at the types of hauntings, which was funny that you said that because I had just reshared a TikTok by Colorado Paranormal and it was types of hauntings. And I was like, perfect.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't know all the types, so I thought it would be an opportunity for me to learn a little bit. So yeah. And so as we go forward, that's
this type. And it's probably going to be a shorter, just a little extra episode, just something, just a little fun episode.
A little nugget.
Just a little nugget episode, little baby nugget. I like the term nugget. Anyway, I'm tired.
Our son loves chicken nuggets.
Our son is going to turn into a chicken nugget as much as he eats chicken nuggets. All types of, he likes.
He is a chicken fool.
He likes chicken tenders. He'll eat chicken breast. Like, if we grill it, he'll eat it like it's a chicken finger.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, use your fork.
He picked up a chicken breast.
So we have the necrometer running. We also have the REM pod going. And just a little reminder, we have done this the past probably month, really since Christmas. We have had both the Spirit Talker going as well as the
REM pod.
And the only time the REM pod went off was during the Bobby Mackey episode.
Yep. And the Spirit Talker is very quiet today. It
usually is in this house.
But there was one episode we did, and it was just like one thing after the other. That's the episode I was just saying words, and you were like, what context was this?
Well, that was the last week's episode.
Oh.
That was the listener happenings. It was spot on last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of our listeners, Jessica, was like, what was Torres? And I was like, I don't know. He just said it. And I was like,
what do you...
I was like, maybe it's the doctor from a TV show because there was a Torres in Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but then I remembered. I was like, oh, that was the
Spirit Talker. Yeah. And then I blurted out 60 and I'm like, where? But that was the Spirit Talker too.
Yeah.
Which sucks. This used to save my history. Yeah. It's not anymore. Like I had months worth of transcribing of what the words that came through and now they're gone. So that sucks. But anyway, we are going to talk about the types of hauntings, just a little fun different episode. So that way, if you don't know the types of hauntings and you have been haunted before, maybe this will put some context around your haunting.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
You tell me. You're the leader of this pack.
Oh God, I don't want to lead. I hate going in first.
Yep, you're going in first.
I do. I hate, he'll open the door for me at restaurants and I'll just stare at him. I'm like, don't make me go in first.
We'll be like, what a residual.
Holy shit. Oh, I just got chills. That was the first one. Residual hauntings. This is the first type of haunting I was going to tell you about. The Spirit Talker just said residual.
Oh, wow.
Screenshotting.
That's crazy. All right, so let's learn about, I guess they want to start with. Oh, my God. I guess they're taking the lead.
Thank you so much for taking the lead because I haven't even said that out loud.
No.
Holy crap. Okay. We do have my phone on airplane mode. The Wi-Fi is turned off.
Mine is on airplane as well.
There shouldn't be any interference from any other devices in the room.
Yes.
So yes, that is, I'm telling you, it did this last week when it said Ouija board and funeral during the recording.
So let's.
Oh God, that threw me off. Hold on.
Let's get into residual hauntings.
Oh my gosh. It's so weird. Anyway, focusing. Residual haunting is it was the first type of haunting I was going to tell you about. Residual is a type of haunting that can be best described as like a video image playing over and over. So if you ever encounter a type of spirit, energy, ghost, anything like that, and they seem to just, like, you're not there. They have no kind of
connection
to you.
Right.
They don't see you. They don't hear you. They are essentially moving through their plane, their dimension, wherever they are, as if they are living their life. Like
does it have to be like a recording where it just plays on loop, or could it
kinda? It kind of is.
But does it have to be?
I don't know if it has to be, but I know most residual hauntings are kind of like a video on loop.
Yeah.
It's like the experience that we had at the Crescent Hotel, the Crescent Hotel. He was telling us about the nurse that pushes the gurney up the third floor. Mm-hmm. That is a residual haunting. That is something that plays on loop, and multiple people have experienced it. That nurse is just like stuck. She doesn't acknowledge anybody.
She doesn't deviate from that.
Nope. She doesn't see anybody. She doesn't, like, if people have called out to her, she hasn't responded. And that's a residual haunting. They are on their own plane. They are not interacting with you. They don't hear you. They don't see you. It's like they are stuck in the 1900s.
It's
where
like a video.
Yeah. And what is it? The 1930s when that hospital was open. And it's just like every night, it's just like she's stuck in that time period. And every night at 3:30 in the morning, she does the same thing. She goes and gets the dead bodies. She pushes them up the gurney and goes to the elevator, and she disappears. And multiple people have seen her, and she's not intelligent. She is residual.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so sometimes, like, I have thought before we had residual energy in our other house, because it's almost like he was on autopilot. Mm-hmm. There were certain times of the night that we would hear footsteps. Or it's like there would be activity at certain times of the day. It's like they were just going through the motions. Like he was still like making his own coffee or sitting at the table, just like kind of like living his life in his own way and not interacting with us. However, we've had other instances where he very much interacted with us.
Yeah, I would say that's less like residual.
You know what I was thinking though? Like, I think with Wayne, he's intelligent. And so that's the next type of haunting.
Okay.
But
nice segue.
Thank you. I'm thinking his mother was more of a residual energy in that house. Yeah. I don't think she didn't, and I'm feeling, and this is just my personal opinion of living there and interacting with the energy there. I feel like she didn't have that close spiritual tie to the house. Mm-hmm. It was where she lived.
Yeah.
But with him, it was that's his, and I think that's why he's so interactive, and he's intelligent, and he is aware, and he sees us.
He's living in his home.
Yes. And I think he does do residual things, but I think the reason he's intelligent is because he tries to get your attention. He does respond.
Well, I think too, he was a creature of habit. So
true. Yes. They will attempt to communicate through noise making, electronic devices.
All right, Josie.
They're vocally responsive in EVPs, and they use other forms of communication, such as like dowsing rods, like apps like this, like
I'm glad you
the REM pod.
I'm glad you went into that, like how they interact.
Yes,
I'm sure different ones interact with investigations differently.
Yes, residual, you can pick it up, but they don't interact.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's the best way to put it. They're not interacting with you.
It.
Yes. You might catch it because it's happening on a loop, but in intelligent, they're actually interacting with you. But intelligent, it might manifest in a physical appearance, which residual, you obviously can manifest in a physical appearance, because people have seen the nurse at the Crescent doing her thing, which as the intelligent, they'll look at you.
It interacts.
Yeah. It's almost like
it's aware of you.
It is aware. Yep, that's exactly right. It is aware of you. Kind of like our listener tale last week of the grandparents standing in the window. They were looking at her.
Yeah.
So that was a very intelligent spirit or spirits because they were aware of her.
Connecting.
Yes. They were watching in on her. And
that makes sense.
Yeah. So the next one is, I've had this happen in our house, a shadow figure. And most people...
That's its own category? Okay.
And so I think these can overlap. All of these, in my non-professional opinion, a lot of these can overlap with each other. You can have an intelligent shadow figure.
Yeah.
Or you can have a residual shadow figure. It really, I think what separates the two is how they interact with you or don't.
Gotcha.
So shadow figures are classified as a type of ghost. They often reside in haunted locations. I'm reading this thing that was shared by the Colorado Paranormal Group. They are considered some to be interdimensional beings or demons, and often seen at night in doorways, in the foot of the bed, and lurking in corners.
Gotcha.
So I've seen a shadow person. Our daughter has seen shadow people. My friend who does my hair, who's my longtime friend, she sees shadow people regularly. Did you know that? Did I ever tell you that? I didn't know she saw that, but she has so many stories of traveling, and she loves paranormal stuff too. So when I go see her, we talk about it, and she sees shadow people on a regular basis. Now, I've only seen like a full body one once that I can remember, like an actual full body. Like, I've never seen a full body apparition, which means a complete person.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends that have seen actual people standing there in grayscale and some in full color.
Oh, wow.
But I don't see people. The shadow person I saw was in my podcast studio at the other house, and it was huge.
Yeah.
That shadow was ginormous. It had shoulders, it had a head, and it moved from one end of the room to the corner, which Wayne always loved the corners. When we would see him, he was typically in a corner.
Yeah.
It's crazy how some people see shadow figures and other people can see people.
Yeah.
And it's weird how, like me, I can see them every once in a while or not see them at all.
Do you think that's primarily based on the individual or the apparition?
Both. I've never been asked that question before, but my immediate response is both, because if you have somebody who's really spiritual and open, and then that being, it's how the being presents itself as well. So I think it really depends on both. So I don't see dead people, but I have friends that do, or I have met people that do, whereas I pick up on energy, but I can't see them. I just feel them. Like, I have mediums that follow me on TikTok, and they see a woman with me. Like, they see her. But I don't see her, but how many times do I say, I feel my grandmother with me. Yeah. It's weird. It really depends on, I think, the person.
Something that just kind of crossed my mind, and this is kind of, I guess, going off of topic, but I wonder if, not necessarily my skepticism on some things, but I think maybe my awareness has been dulled because of what I grew up around.
Oh, yeah. Oh, somebody has asked too. Maybe we can get into this at the end of it if you wanted to.
Okay.
They asked for more information about what did his dad do?
Yeah, we can touch on that. But yeah, I wonder if that...
I think so, because I think when you're around it
just became very common and ordinary.
Yes. You're almost desensitized.
Yes, exactly. That's the word, desensitized.
There you go. Thank you. It wouldn't surprise me, because you would go into your dad's office and move a body out of the way to get your go-kart, and it was nothing to you.
No.
It was normal. If I walked into my dad's office and saw a body on a cart that I needed to move to get to something, I think I would die.
You just run out.
Yeah. The fact that you're desensitized to a human body, a dead body laying there, and you're like, oh, I need my go-kart. Scooch. You're going to scooch right over. I'm going to scooch this body out of the way to get my go-kart. I'd have been like, so yeah, I do think that you definitely are not bothered. You're unbothered.
Yeah, that kind of just crossed my mind, but we'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah, I had some people ask, like, what exactly? And it is interesting. And I have asked, and we'll get into this. I have asked your dad a question before, and his response really surprised me, because I wasn't expecting his response. Yeah. But we'll get into it. Okay. So another type of haunting is a poltergeist. And I think a lot of us, especially our generation, which is the elder millennial, young Gen X, is the Poltergeist movie. Lost sleep that night.
Well, one of our friends had an experience with that. He was out of town, and his brother was checking on his house for him, And so
I don't think it was his house, though. I think it was somebody else's house.
Was he checking on his brother's house, maybe?
I think so. I think it was his brother's house.
His brother was out of town, and he was checking on the house for him.
Yes.
And he comes into the house, and it was a fairly new house, was it not?
I can't remember if it was fairly new.
He comes in, he had checked on it once, and then I guess the second time he came and checked on it, all the cabinet doors in the kitchen, every one of them was wide open.
Yeah, and he was like, nope.
Yeah. So that would have definitely freaked me out.
That is definitely considered poltergeist activity. When things are moved, they are known for disruptive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like my story, Michael, who moves stuff, turn the lights on or off. Like, they are disruptive. Loud noises.
I'm wondering, is it always like negative, or could it be like playful poltergeist?
I think.
Is that a thing?
Yes, there are different, they call them prankster spirits or jokesters. But I believe, it's not all negative.
Yeah, but it seems to me that would fall under kind of that poltergeist.
Yes, and I think, again, these kind of cross over because you can have an intelligent poltergeist.
Well, by the, like what you said with the movie, obviously that was a negative.
Scarred
and so, for
life.
So a lot of people, that's what they think about, and there is a negative connotation to that.
It is a very negative, but I don't think, because of my personal experiences, I don't think all poltergeist is negative. Now, they're annoying. They can be annoying as crap because they move your stuff, they throw things, and sometimes it can seem very negative. Like, I had a candle pushed off the shelf when I walked by one day at me, and it was just like rude. But I don't think that our spirit is necessarily evil. I think he's a jerk, and he didn't like me for a long time because I was tearing down his house.
But it very well could be.
But he could be. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit because the way I think about spirit is I think of them as people, and they have many layers like an onion.
Yes.
So I give them a lot of personality traits.
Yes, a Shrek reference.
Yes, I love it. But yeah, I don't categorize, like, we're going to use my ghost because I have so many of these experiences with him. I've seen him as a shadow person. The only thing, I think there has been residual things. Like, it seems like he's been on clockwork. Like, I hear the same noises at certain times of the night. But I think he's very intelligent because he's interacted with us. But he's also a poltergeist because he has moved things. He has slammed things. He has open, closed doors. Like, we see lights coming on and off. So it's like he is not just one of these, but he has done these types of hauntings.
But there are instances where it is just one type.
Yep, in my unprofessional, because you have to remember, I am not a professional. I am learning. I'm a student of the paranormal.
This is perfect because I'm learning as well.
Yeah. Poltergeist, definitely. They call it the noisy ghost. Or remember, we had dinner with my friend Dawn, and I was, this was in the thick of everything happening in the house, and we had just gotten married, and you had your medical event, and we were, emotions were high. And we were at that dinner place that was kind of like, what is that place called? It's like a cellar.
The trapdoor.
Yes. And she Anthony. And she screamed out, Ashley, you have a hag. Ashley, you have a hag. A hag. A hag.
Just over and over again.
Yes. So a hag in my mind is a poltergeist. A hag is usually characterized as a woman.
A nuisance.
Yes. And usually people see her as somebody, long white dress. There's another podcast, I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head, but she described her hag and the way she felt when this entity thing was around. It was very negative, very oppressive, very dark. And I never saw a woman in the house, but the way her name is Lindsay, and I cannot remember the name of the podcast right now, but her name is Lindsay, so I know that. Her hag that she saw made her feel exactly how I was feeling in the house, especially during sleep paralysis.
Interesting.
And then you have the demonic haunting, which not all negative hauntings are demonic. Like, some people just think negative energy demonic, but that's not the case. A demon is very rare. To have an actual demon or demonic haunting is not something that just happens. It's usually very, very...
It's very specific.
Yes, it's very specific. It's often the source of negative, really dark hauntings.
Yeah.
Showing similar behavior to poltergeist activity, but it's very powerful, very intelligent, and very dangerous and manipulative, and is capable of throwing objects, physical attacks, and human possession.
So that's just like pure evil.
It is pure evil. It is very heavy. There are some places that I've watched that I'm like, oh, that place is straight up demonic. Like there's got to be some kind of demonic energy in there because it's heavy. But most of it, I just kind of believe like if the person was negative in life, then more than likely they're negative in death, but that doesn't make them demonic.
Yeah.
So, but demonic is bad. Bad
juju.
Real bad juju. Real heavy, will scratch you type, will hurt you.
Who let the demons out? Who? Yeah.
Who? It wasn't me.
No.
I just saw something move right here. Okay, and then the last, after demonic, like, do you want to hear more about demonic, or can we just...
Yeah, we can
just move on from demonic, because, not that I don't like talking about them, I just feel like things get classified as demonic and way too quick, far too often, and it's like, I think they're quite rare, like true demonic hauntings. I'm not saying they don't exist.
Agree with that for sure.
But I think they just, anything negative, it's like, oh, it's demonic. No, it's not.
It's very uncommon.
Yes, it is very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. Do I believe in it? Sure. I think demons do exist. I think I married one once. So.
Oh, I was about to say.
Not you. I have heard when people talk about like past exes, it's like their eyes turn black, and his would. Definitely a negative energy about him. I don't know. But it's like his face would change. And I've heard that in listening to other women, domestic violence survivors. That is something common they say. It's like, it's weird. So the last haunting type is elemental.
An elemental.
Yes, an elemental, or I guess entity, could be used for a demon or an elemental, but an elemental is something of the land. Nature-based entities known for their territorial behavior. So some of these, like especially from Native American, they believed in a lot of elementals, and they believed that these beings protected their land. And some people believe that when Native American land is messed with, these elementals come from the land to protect, and they will interact with the building or the people that are there. Skinwalkers are a type of elemental.
Gotcha.
Overly protective and situationally dangerous.
You don't want to piss it off.
No. Some have been known to have nefarious interactions, being intentionally deceitful and hateful towards humans. Like elementals are, yes, they are just...
Something's been disturbed, and there's been a threat, and they're responding to that, defending that.
And they are from the land, so they are not attached to a person. They're not attached to a building. They are attached to the land
itself. There's been some kind of disturbance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know a lot about this. I probably sound ignorant, but they're like on Native American land, and tribes believe you offer tobacco, and it's like an offering of peace to try to not have them mad at you.
That's probably very common in any unquestionably. Yeah. It's probably very common in any kind of indigenous peoples. And anywhere in the world, I think about the Aboriginal people. I think about a lot of the South American, Amazonian tribes, African tribes. So I think that because they were very in touch with the land. Their lives were intertwined with the actual land around them and the environment around them.
They also are known as inhuman. Like they have not been human before. They are of the land. Like, and I know I keep saying
like a river or a rock formation, or
they're just the spirit of the land. Like they've never been human.
Gotcha. Well, it's like there's a place up in North Carolina, I believe it is, and it's Grandfather Mountain because it looks like a grandfather. Right?
Is that the one near the cabin? Grandfather Mountain's near the cabin, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But it looks like a Native American grandfather laying down, facing up, and that they said that he protected the land.
Like it's the profile?
Yeah.
I know what we see it from the cabin too.
Okay.
Yeah. Just before we move on to something completely different. Guardians are protective spirits. I believe everybody has guardians and spirit guides. So there's that type. It's not so much a haunting, but kind of a spirit.
Spiritual, yeah.
I'm just looking at Google. And then there's like portals in which are spiritual gateways. I believed our basement was a giant portal at one point with all those mirrors.
Yeah.
We just kind of generated a portal.
Yeah, mirrors facing mirrors facing mirrors.
Mirror on top of mirror on top of mirror on top of mirror. Golly, that basement, man. Okay, so Daniel, tell the people, what did your dad do
So my father partnered with this gentleman. He actually lived across the street from us, and they had kind of grown up together, knew each other, and he had gotten his embalming license. And
your dad got his embalming?
No, the person he partnered with, and that's how they started the business.
Gotcha.
This other gentleman would do the embalming, and my father would do the transportation side. The partnership didn't last long, and my father bought him out of the business, but he didn't. My dad didn't do the embalming. He just stuck with the transportation. So he went around to funeral homes all over the upstate and basically offered his services, and he would pick up deceased people either from the hospital, from nursing homes, from other funeral homes, and he would transport them to wherever they needed to be. And one of the main funeral homes he worked for had a crematory. And so he became the crematory operator. So when him and my mother divorced, he had bought a single-wide trailer. After becoming the crematory operator, he asked if he could move the trailer to where there was like basically a asphalt,
right?
And they had basically an office building trailer there, and they had moved that off, so it was just an empty lot. So they allowed my dad to move the trailer up there. So the crematory was beside us, and the graveyard was across the street, and so that's where my dad lived, and he would walk down and do the cremations. And so our bicycles and our go-kart were parked in the garage of the crematory. And so we would go down there, and there would be bodies in cardboard boxes on gurneys, and sometimes they would be in the way of us actually getting our bicycles or backing the go-kart out, so we'd have to move them out of the way.
Daniel was around a lot of death as a child. There
was a viewing port into the oven. I remember
the oven.
I guess I don't know what you call it.
The heat. Yeah. Oh my God.
So a refractory, I believe that's what it's called. But there was like a viewing port, a little door you could open up, and I remember my dad picking me up and opening it up and letting me look inside.
While there was somebody being cremated?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then there was a processing station. A lot of people think that the cremation process just turns the bones to ash, and that's not accurate. The bones are still intact, so you have to process them. And so you basically have this big long metal scraper that you scrape the bones into this pan, and then you have to take it over to a processing station, run a magnet through it so that in case there's any screws or anything like that, artificial joints, and you take that out, and then there's a big 5-gallon stainless steel blender bucket, and that's what you put the bones into, and it turns it into that fine ash. Another fun fact, I may have mentioned this in a previous episode, was old Eugene Thomas.
Oh yes.
So I have a sweet spot for Eugene. He didn't have any family that I know of, and so he was cremated, and nobody claimed his ashes.
This is so sad.
And so it was my senior year in high school, and Mr. Thomas's ashes sat on our kitchen table. And so I would come home from school and from wrestling practice, and I would sit down and eat, and his ashes were literally sitting in the center of the table. So I would have full-on conversations with Eugene, and just be like, hey, what's up? How's your day?
Just be chit-chatting up with Gene.
And what's funny, though, is when I look back on that, I think, okay, that was a very sad thing that he didn't have anybody to claim his ashes, but his memory still lives on because
that's right.
I remember that. I've talked about him. I've told people that story, and otherwise his memory may have just been completely gone. So
right, and that's kind of how I feel about Wayne.
But yeah,
because he doesn't have a big family. He does have family left, but not much. And I feel like we talk about him, so his memory will continue to live on even after we no longer have the house.
Yeah. And it's, I've gone on calls for my dad.
Yes,
as I've gotten older, I went on calls with him when, probably first call I ever went with him when I was 12.
Oh, dear God.
So, what did it say?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
it also said Revenant. Yes. Revenant. I'm not good with words.
But yeah, I grew up around that. It's really a lot of people feel that it's a taboo thing to talk about. And,
positive.
They're getting chatty now.
They are getting chatty now. I told you I saw something move right there.
So it's very fascinating to talk about that to people and see their reactions. I remember
Do you remember the first time you told me?
I tried to bring it up in every class in high school because it was a definite get the teacher off the topic. Because everybody just had questions, because it's not something people grow up around.
People have reached out to me to ask me because they hear you say it and they're like, wait, what?
And it's just like so normal to me. Like
it's not normal.
How is that not normal?
You talk about your dad cremating people. Like my dad sat at a desk and was a businessman. Like that's like I say it and like, okay, he was a businessman. You're like, yeah, my dad turned people to ash. Whatever.
We would go out to eat, and before we would go to the restaurant, he would say, I got to go by the crematory and take one out and put one in. And then we would get done eating at the restaurant. We would go back by there. You can ask my sister, like the running joke is my dad would always say, we got to run by there. It'll be 5 minutes. I got to take one out and put one in. And we would end up sitting there for half an hour in the car. And there were times where I would get out and I would go in there with him. And so.
Well, thank you for filling everybody in. I could not, I can tell people what your dad did, but he ran a crematory. That's what I tell people. Yeah. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, that's all I got. Ask Daniel.
Yeah, he operated the crematory and he ran a transportation service.
He picked up dead bodies.
For funeral homes.
Mm-hmm. So, he did for many years. He retired a few years ago. So I mentioned asking your dad once because especially when this was in the thick of the haunting at the other house and I was really processing a lot. You were not very understanding to what I was at the time. You're more understanding now, but at the time Daniel was getting frustrated with me and I was getting very frustrated with him. And one night this was during the time that I think Wayne was making me very sick. Mm-hmm. I was really sick for the better part of 2022. Yeah. And there was no explanation. I spent thousands of dollars getting tests run because my body was like shutting down and there was no explanation. They could not find a reason for why I was as sick as I was. And so I was in bed and your dad was on the phone because y'all talk about once a week and you'll have these long drawn out conversations and just like catch up of the week. And I remember I was like, can I ask you a question? And I asked, does him being around as much death as he was, does that make him sensitive or does he have experiences or does he feel their energy? And his answer is no, he feels nothing. Yeah. He has his faith. Yeah. And so he believes in his faith. And he said something around the lines of, he has his faith and, he prays for these people, but he does not feel their energy. They're just a vessel. They are just a body. When he goes, that's all he sees. He feels nothing.
And there've been certain instances and cases where he knows how the individual died. He knows the circumstances and he sees in cases like that, he sees the very human side of it and the loss. And so I think that's what he feels and sees more. I mean, he's had to go on home calls where the family's there and he's he's removing the loved one from the home. And, obviously people are upset. So I think he's more in tune with the human element of it. Cost of that.
It makes sense. It was just an interesting, he's like, no, nothing. They're just a body at that point. And I'm like, huh. And then he got quiet, I guess, waiting for my response. And I was like, okay, because I didn't know what to say.
And I guess, it's kind of like I can tell jokes that like joke about it with my dad that other people would just be like horrified.
Yes. Y'all do tell, even not about death. Y'all tell horrible jokes. They're not funny, but y'all can laugh for 20 minutes just because the other one's laughing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully, I'm sure that will get some comments.
Maybe.
So maybe some more questions.
Send your questions on. Yeah. We're open books. If we don't want to answer it, we won't answer it. But most of the time, we're pretty open about this kind of stuff anyway.
It was a good episode. I hope somebody learned something. I definitely did.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to take some editing to make me sound less stupid. Oh, Catherine.
She spelled it with a K?
She spelled it with a K, yeah. That's a C. But that's Catherine. Mm-hmm. You know how many times that device has said Catherine's name?
Really?
I have gotten her name several times. It's crazy. Hi, Catherine. Catherine was my best friend in high school that passed away. So she's with me.
Hey. Just saying hey.
Saying hey. All right. Well, we're wrapping.
We did get a lot of names on this one.
We do get a lot of names on this one.
We got Callan. We got Catherine. We got Ashley. Was it Ashley?
No. We've never gotten Ashley. I've never gotten my name.
What was the other one we got?
Today?
Yeah.
We haven't gotten another name today.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, there was 3 names. Yes. Yes.
Nope.
There was Callan. There was somebody else.
No.
And there was Catherine.
Well, we can look at the transcript.
Scroll down.
It won't scroll down. You have to go to this. There wasn't another.
There was.
No, there wasn't today.
Let me see.
Let's argue about it.
Anthony.
Okay.
See, I was right.
Anthony.
I was right.
Yep, you were right.
I knew it started with an A. Can you say that again?
You were right.
Ah.
Yes, you were right. Well, thank you for listening. I am still on TikTok. I survived the ban. So if you're on there, come give me a follow. Ghost Gossip Pod. If you're on Instagram, Ghost Gossip Podcast, and email me your Ghost Gossip at ghostgossip247@gmail.com. Please rate, follow, do all that stuff. And, I am getting more listens. It is growing.
That's awesome.
It's really crazy to see, and it makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yes, go and do what you do, and I really appreciate you. Huge shout out to Colorado Paranormal Investigator. Their post was referenced in today's episode. Go check them out. Thank you for listening, and until next time, they'll see you later.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Is she licking the wall?
She is licking the wall.
Mavis.
Maybe she's into sheetrock.
Mavis.
This is not a child of ours. This is a cat.
Yeah. This is not one of our kids.
let's make sure.
Our kids are not licking the wall.
Wouldn't surprise me, though.
What is she